G'day guys, Calvin, Cartoon in New Zealand. What perfect timing. I just had a man message me about buying some wiring instructions for a UCF20 and he said, one more question please. And if he buys them, there's going to be more questions. He said, how do I know whether my ECU has an immobilizer? Well, I said, send me a picture or send me the number of the ECU, and it turns out it's exactly the same as this one, which is 89661 50341. White plug from the US or Canada. This one happens to be Canada. The man happened to send me 3 of them. All of these are non-VVti ECUs, and all of them have a immobilizer in them. Immobilizer only came out in the UCF20, in the UK and the USA markets, which is also the Canadian guys got the same ECU as the US guys. So we could probably say the North American market. Some guys will say it's the ones with the white plug in them. That white plug? This is a JDM ECU from a UCF20 Celsius, and I assure you there is no immobilizer in it. With a white plug, see there's the white plug, there is no immobilizer in that ECU, okay? And this is OBD1. This is an OBD1 ECU. This is the lid of an OBD2 ECU. So different markets got different setups. The VVti is where a lot of people say immobilizers started, with the UCF20 Celsius or LS400s. And some say that all VVti ECUs have a immobilizer. That is also not true. This is a VVti ECU with no immobilizer in it. I've got a few of these now, and guess what? Toyota changed the pinout on the non-immobilizers to the immobilizers ever so slightly and changed some of the things they do. In a swap, they can often be interchanged though. Into a factory car, probably not so much. The later model VVti and the later Crowns, they all have immobilizers. 3UZ. Oh, and yes, the VVti immobilizers can be removed. 3UZs have a immobilizer. This is a UCF30, and they can just be reflashed off. So we reflash those ones to remove the immobilizer. I've just done a separate video on that topic. The little anti-theft ECU there, this is an anti-theft warning, theft warning unit. That isn't the immobilizer unit on them. That's what the records supplied. They were wrong. So that's just going into my stockpile. But today we're actually going to focus on the non-VVti immobilizers. Now, real fun. Life was simple when I only worked on JDM cars. It was JDM, UCF20, no immobilizers, and all got pinouts so close that it didn't matter. We never worried about EGR. The only difference was really the hydraulic fan between the Celsius and the 151 Crown non-VVti. Life was easy. And then we started seeing more and more of the US, and they've changed pinouts. They changed pinouts within the models of the US even. And we got OBD2, and we got a immobilizer in some, and then the UK, and Europe cars, same sort of thing. We've got different pins for immobilizer. And this is the immobilizer box that goes with the non-VVti's, UCF20s. It's a little box that's matched to the key. then communicates with the ECU. What I'm going to do is I've got an OBD2 ECU that's from 94 to 97 in the US market with no immobilizer. That will be this one here. You can see it's got a grey header plug, so that's great. And that's powered up, connected to the scan tool. We're going to fire the engine. I can guarantee it's got no codes in it because I've done some trickiness with these little devices here and over here. How are we going? Oh no, that's good. So that one we know runs an engine. We're then going to pop one of these ones in it. Ignition in. Bam. Start it. Oi, Noisy, what are you doing?
You're noisy.
You're the noisy over there. Ring, ding, ding, ding. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. Check engine light. CEL. My insulator works really well. Right. So I was going to bridge TE1 and E1 and show that the check light doesn't flash when you bridge TE1 and E1, but I didn't wire TE1 and E1 because this is OBD2 and TE1 and E1 are useless. So that's not going to work. We might have to do that later once I've fixed the man's wiring loom. Okay. So that's OBD2 and it runs the engine. We're good. Let's plug one of these immobilized in and see what happens. So we have the ECU plugged in. A couple of other things to note. There is a change in the igniter outputs too, just to make things real fun. And they do that. See, it sounds like the timing's out. That's when the igniter's around the wrong way. There's the letting the smokes out of the exhaust there. Got it? Change igniters around. Igniter firings. I'll do that now. Must remember to put it back before I take this off the loom. Take the loom off the engine.
Can I borrow some assistance for a minute?
Oh, okay. Right ho. Try again. Woo! Toyota changed a couple of wires around to stop you doing what I've just done. To put a non-immobilizer in place of an immobilizer ECU. You see it started quite nicely and it ran quite well and then it didn't. That's because this unit said to stop because of the immobilizer. Right. So if I go to start this now, am I being noisy? I do it really well. Right. So if I don't disconnect the ignition switch and I try to crank it again, oh, it did actually go. Then it doesn't. So it gives you enough hope that you think you're going to make it go, and then all your dreams are broken because of that immobilizer. My scan tool doesn't have the immobilizer function for this particular ECU, just to be a pain. But I'm quite certain that's what it is. It's got all the symptoms of it.
That's from my scan scan tool.
Have you got your scan tool with you?
There's a bag of it somewhere.
We could have tried it on your one. I'm going to fix it now. I've got another one we can look at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a little unit to remove the immobilizer from this ECU. And that should solve our problem, providing I install it correctly. And then I'll do one of the others as well. This third one, there's a bit of corrosion, not really happy. I have looked at the capacitors and they look relatively clean. I'm always going to recommend a rebuild, but for what we're trying to do today, they are good enough. I'll get it running, get it sorted, and I'll talk to the owner while I'm doing the loom and suggest that the ECUs get a set of capacitors put in them, just so we know 100% that they're good. There is a chance that it's been done. This one here, you can see with this numbers here, it's a Denso refab. So this one is probably going to be the best option for it, because it may well have had a repair and it's got the markings that it's had stuff checked and done inside. I've been doing stuff. You'll now see that there is a little unit attached. I've put the bottom on. So I've taken this little unit, attached it into the ECU, and now we're good to go. I could make these units externally plug-in. They could be made to be plugged in outside. This one, it's pretty easy to make it so it fits inside the ECU. I've run the extra little wires in, and we'll see if it works, shall we? I really want some earmuffs. Right, just to confirm, this is the same ECU. There we go. Same numbers. 341. Same. I think it runs. Better double check.
It's only running on 7 cylinders, Calvin.
Yeah, I know. Number 7 has got the leaky valve. We've got to pull the head off this sometime and fix that. And you've got to show, we've got to do a video on how to set the tappets. Setting tappets on a 1UZ. That one's sorted. I'm going to secure this little unit inside that ECU so it can't short out or do any damage. And then I'm going to do another one. Test that, check it's all good. But this shows that if you don't have the proper unit, you don't have that proper unit that matches your ECU with the key, the right stuff, then there is another solution that is available. I'm also going to go through this man's loom, his wiring loom. Now we've got an ECU that actually works. So I've secured the unit into the ECU. If I just pop a little bit of power onto the ECU, check the LED lights up. It does. I'm happy. Ready to screw that lid on and test it. whenever I do a job like this, I like to test it, check it's good, and I assemble it completely like this one, and then I test it again. And that ensures us the best chance of making sure everything is right. That one's done. One more, two more, a couple more to do. Thinking about it too, we could also be wired right up by this unit as well, replacing that unit. If you're fitting it into a factory car, if you've got a factory car where you've lost the key, you could use it and replace the factory immobilizer unit with this little chip unit. You even tuck it inside, make it look really neat and tidy. And yes, I do have someone in mind when I'm talking about that. I've got a mate in the US, he's brought LS400, no key with it, mobilizer ECU, no one over there could help him. I told him to fit another ECU, the non-immobilized ECU, and I told him about flipping the wires correctly. He done that, but of course there is that difference in pinouts, they're not quite right, so he would like to use the correct ECU for that car. So fitting the little unit is going to be the simplest way for him to go back to the correct ECU for the car and make it run like it should. I've come back to finish off this job. This one, done, dusted, and we know it works. That's good. I got this one out, got stuck in, and I've got this one. So this is the refabbed, the Nippon Denso one. It's got the Nippon Denso number, not the Toyota number. And interesting here, we've got a little bit of Japanese writing. If we pop inside, oh, wrong side. You can see here, it's got some Wrecker writing on it. There's some dismantler writing. And turn it over. I need another pen to hold it up. And I have this one. We look at the layout of this one. We compare it to the layout of this one. This one does have the little unit wired in now. We'll just tuck that out of the way. We can see here, we've got a component on the board right there by my finger, which is not there. Capacitors are the same through here. And then over here, we've got these two in line. But on this one, these two are beside each other. These are different ECUs. So we've got that one over there, which was the same part number as that. 89661 50341. 100% that's got a mobilizer. 100% that one's got a mobilizer. This one? Well, this one's got a different number on the board. We'll have a look here. See it? Can I get it? Let's have a look here. So down along the side of here, we've got the number 17503194990. On this one, 17503174111. That is a different ECU to that one. Different. Okay. Now to identify what this one is. And I'm thinking that this is JDM. I think it's a UCF20 JDM ECU. I took the time and I went back to my back cupboard and I pulled that 50380. 50380 JDM. I know for a fact that this is JDM. Look at that. It looks the same as that one. And we have the same number right there down the board. That is a JDM UCF20, no immobilizer. That is UCF20 immobilizer. I'll get rid of this one. I don't want to mix these up. That's my one. Okay, so I'm going to come back to that one. That was a bit of an unexpected twist. So I got this one. We're good. I've done the little mobilizer thing, and I'm just going to tuck the. Don't want to short it out. Okay, watch this. Okay, I've got this ECU set up, right? And I've got my fuel pump here, it's sort of sitting on. And I do my normal thing. Here's my power wires. Do my normal thing, and I need my test light for a minute. I pop my ignition on. This is fuel pump. And I go to fire this one up. And it stops. Now, you may not hear it, but I don't hear it either. The fuel pump isn't going. Okay, so I'm going to take my fuel pump wire and I give it permanent battery power. Can we hear that? Yep, watch this. Oh, fuel pump. The immobilizer's bypassed, but the fuel pump circuit is buggered in that ECU. And this is why I like to get these things rebuilt before they stuff out. This one has got a problem. Fuel pump circuit isn't working, and it took me that long to diagnose. Okay, if you have an ECU and it doesn't output a fuel pump, it doesn't output a check light, it doesn't output a main relay, it doesn't output injectors, it doesn't output ignition pulse, then it is stuffed and it needs a repair. That simple. And it takes that long to diagnose. Any of those symptoms, any of those faults, instant, it needs a repair. It's that simple. So we now have one ECU that is good out of the setup. This one runs, but no fuel pump, and that one is JDM, which is OBD1. And I don't have an OBD1 loom set up at the moment. It still should run on OBD2 though. So if I put this one back to non-immobilizer, that ECU should make it run. Fingers crossed. Quick check. Fuel pump's going. Other things to think about. If this one has got a failed fuel pump, what else has failed in it? What else isn't working properly? That one's written up. So now I'm going to convert this loom back to non-immobilizer. So flip the ignition signals again, the ignition outputs. And I'm going to plug the OBD1 into the OBD2 loom, which I think will be fine. Yes, I think it will be fine. And I think it will go. That one will also not have some codes that these ones sometimes have. Yeah. So Lexus, of course, or Toyota, did this. And they swapped those pins around to stop people doing exactly what I'm doing, of putting a non-immobilized ECU into an immobilized car. We kind of don't want things shorting out while we're doing this. What is different? I don't need the resistors. I don't need those resistors. And we can put that back in. Yep. No, I can't, because this is OBD1. I don't want that in. Okay. Now I did do a loom the other day that would do OBD1 and OBD2. Okay, that swapped. Will this ECU run? It's getting a bit late. I'm getting a bit of a headache here. Give it some fuel pump. Yep, I can hear it. Power. Well, that proved a point. Righto, I had 3 ECUs sent to me. 1 now works, immobilizer's deleted. Number 2, the fuel pump circuit doesn't work. Number 3 is a JDM OBD1, totally unrelated to the other 2. Not to mention, well, and I still haven't gotten into the wiring loom that looks like that. I'd signed off. I was going to sign off. And I thought it was just a coincidence and maybe there was a little issue in the loom with the fuel pump circuit. So I've just plugged in the OBD2 ECU. And what I didn't show is the JDM ECU didn't fire the fuel pump. So I get my test light. So you can see here, it's got my ECU. Actually, it's kind of on a permanent borrow. I'm going to go into the fuel pump fuse, watch. So it's trying to fire it. Runs the engine fine. And I'm going straight back to this ECU. Okay, so this is this one, the refurbished, or the Nippon Denso refurbished one. In with that, into the fuel pump circuit, watch, nothing. Woo, click. That one also has a fuel pump problem. So I've got 2 ECUs from the same customer with fuel pump problems. I've also got their loom, and I guarantee that I'm going to find a problem in the fuel pump wiring for these ECUs. In that loom. I'm working reasonably quick in here, but all this stuff does take time. And as you can see, I've got ECUs with multiple problems. And with the knowledge I've got, I can work my way through and diagnose what each one is. But each one takes time swapping in and out. But 2 ECUs, of 3 ECUs now, 1 works. JDM one with a stuffed fuel pump circuit, and OBD1. That would have been my pick actually, that would have been my one to run. And an OBD2 with a stuffed fuel pump circuit. Looks like I'm off to write an email to the customer, let them know what I've found, Tell them I haven't even got into that loom yet, but there's going to be problems in there. Hope that's been helpful. And it's actually quite late here now. It is dark outside. But it's been a successful day. I've battled through it. I've found some issues. So, talk to you again soon. Catch you later.